Hi all, this is Dr. J at 11, broadcasting live, streaming live from Long Island, New York, where the weather is yucky, icky, rainy, nasty day. Well, not every day could be great, but Wall Street seemed not to mind the weather that much. Down just compared to recent days, down just a mere trifle, a mere or about 0.9% on the NASDAQ and less on the S&P, maybe 0.5%, something like that on the S&P. And I don't remember what it was, 0.6% on the Dow, something like that. So it was within normalcy today, just a normal down day, nothing to get excited about. The biotechnology index continues to slip, the IBB. I was hoping for just the opposite, just a zoom on the IBB. Well, we're going to have to wait a while, it looks like, before we get that zoom, before we get that zip in the market in general. So having said that, I'm going to focus on the IBB. I have an interesting chart showing the fib retracement of the IBB from its top to its lows about 6 months ago. And Actinium Pharmaceuticals, which I'm very high on, and they have a lot of things going for them fundamentally. We talked about the fundamentals, but just to review it a little bit, Dr. Sandesh Seth has initiated a new clinical initiative in immunotherapy. Sometimes these words are tough. In immunotherapy, and as well as his Actimab A and Iomab B, or the other way around, whatever. So we have quite a few initiatives going. We're waiting on data. We're waiting, I believe, on ASH abstracts to be released in a couple of weeks. ASH is the American Society of Hematology. So the fundamentals are there, they're in place. It looks like there's some exciting drugs in the pipeline for Actinium Pharmaceuticals. Let's look at the chart, which is equally interesting for both Actinium and for the IBB. So let's get there. It takes about 2 seconds. I used to say 3, but I think 2 is more accurate. 2 seconds is all it takes to get to the video charts. Okay, let's look first at Actinium Pharmaceuticals. It closed today up 0.0034 to an even 76 pennies. And the good news is it formed a hammer on the day as it was trading much, not much, but somewhat lower. Much, as low as 72 pennies today before it bounced back to close at 76 cents. It opened at the high at 78 cents. So even though we have a hammer, we have a red candle because the open was higher than the close, although not by much. Okay, so that summarizes today. Now look at the old trend line back in June, late June, to all the way to August 14th. So that would be about July, about a month and a half that we followed this trend line down. And then we have a similar parallel trend line going on now. So I drew both of those trend lines. And then we also have an upward trend line taking into account the three lows that we put in recently, higher lows, a series of higher lows, an ascending trend line. And then I drew another trend line based on this key high parallel to this one. So now we have, in effect, a parallelogram. I'm a little obsessed with parallel lines, I'm sorry. But what I want to point out is if you take the diagonals of this particular parallelogram, we get a beautiful trend line, ascending trend line on one diagonal, and a beautiful ascending trend line on the other diagonal. And that trend line has actually been support for actinium over the last few days. So that trend line tomorrow would take us to about 71 pennies if there's a hit of the trend line. It stopped a little short of the trend line today and the last 2 days, last 3 days. So I expect this kind of downward pressure again. Probably will get a bounce or two off of this upward trend line right through up until the end of this month. So by the end of the month, however, this triangle that we formed from the two diagonals of this parallelogram will come to an end, say around the 30th of October, and one direction or another will be made clear. My bet is we break out in the upward direction. Now, I believe the ASH abstracts come out in November. So in anticipation of those abstracts, I think we move up. So if I can quickly draw a doodle line, I can just add that. A doodle, Yankee Doodle line. Let's make it a better color than that. I'll try an orange Yankee Doodle. All right, so let's say right about here, we break out of this and start moving up. Like that, an upward direction. Oh, I'm not very good at drawing arrows or doodling, but the direction is clear. My feeling is we will start breaking out of this triangle and moving back towards the trend line up around 90 pennies. So by the end of this month or into early November, I think we will be hitting that upper trend line in the 90s, 90 cents or more, taking out the old high back here on, let's try to get a date. Come on. My interactive chart is not so interactive. Doesn't want to give me a date. All right. Anyway, we'll take out this old high at about 86.5 cents. That was made about 2-3 weeks ago. And that's my feelings on Actinium Pharmaceuticals. Very, very bullish. I think this is a very interesting configuration of this parallelogram, breaking it down into all these little triangles. It's interesting, and basically this diagonal is support for Actinium going forward. So I'm very happy to see that. I think we hold this line right here, this trend line, so that by the beginning of November, I think we break out of this and we'll be at about 70 something cents at the worst before we break out of this. So I think we hold 71, 72 cents. I don't think we see Actinium go below that in the interim. And that's great because I think the market will be very, very volatile. But I think Actinium will hold sway and trade within this little triangle here. All right, the IBB. The IBB, oh, I made a pretty purple fib retracement. The high came right here on 10-1 of 122.97. And then the IBB gave up the ghost. It's come all the way down to a low of 109. So we gave back quite a bit. And that low came on Thursday. And notice the closing price on Thursday was exactly at the fib 61.8% retracement of the wave of the high of 122 to the low of 100, which was on April the 6th. Actually, earlier, no, April the 6th. April the 6th, it was 100.22. So from April 6th all the way up to 10/1, it moved up 23 points and gave back, let's see, gave back, the low was 108. So it gave back 14 of those points, stopping at the 61.8% retracement level. Now, for those who believe in fib numbers and fib retracements, for whatever reason, they seem to work. It would imply that we're done, that we're going to be moving up from here. Or if we retest this and go through the 61.8% retrace, there's a very strong likelihood we go all the way back down to 100, that we go down, shed another 10 points. That would not make Dr. J happy. That would not make the market happy. That would not make all those investors in biotech happy. But if we hold sway right here at the low of 108, then I move up from here over the next few weeks. I think that's possible, even if we don't go up very much. And even if the other averages go down, I think the IBB can hold. The IBB has been very weak, don't forget, for a very long time. It doesn't have much to give back, and maybe it won't. So even if the Dow gives back more, even if the NASDAQ gives back more, even if the S&P 500 is not done correcting, I think we may be done in the IBB correcting. So that's Dr. J's thinking here, that the IBB is going to be strong. Once it starts going up, I think it'll go way up, way above this high, into the stratosphere, and within the next 4 months, maybe go as high as $200. So that's what Dr. J is thinking. Very bullish on Actinium, very bullish on the IBB. I'm bullish on biotechnology in general. I have quite a few biotech, small cap, mid cap biotech stocks that I own. And let me remind you to do your own due diligence, of course, and that my opinions are strictly my own. I don't get any insider information. I don't rely on other people's opinions. My opinions are my own, but they do not constitute investment advice in any way. If you follow some of my ideas, and some of my ideas are good, I got to admit that, you're doing so at your own risk. So please consult with an investment advisor before doing anything in terms of investments, just because I may have had an idea that you like. Also, my facts may not be 100% accurate, so please double check my facts if that's going to be the basis of any decision that you make. Even if it isn't, just you should double check any statements that I give as fact, because I follow a lot of stocks and I could get some misinformation accidentally. And I don't want people acting on wrong information. What else? It's beginning of the week. We had a start that wasn't great, but I think by Wednesday we stabilized and turned it around on Thursday and Friday. So this is Dr. J from Long Island, New York, asking you to like my video, write comments, share the link, and please subscribe. See you all. Sayonara. Hasta luego. Adios amigos. Au revoir. Ciao.